A, Grade 8. Today is our Computer 8. My name is Mr. Rinaldo B. Malimban. For our second quarter in the first week class online learning platform, in today's lesson we speak about the selections tool. In the selecting tools is isolates one or more parts of your image. By selecting specific areas, you can edit and apply effects and filters to portion of your image while leaving the unselected areas untouched. So the photo provides separate sets of tools to make the selection or raster and vector data. Selections can be copied, moved, and pasted or saved. So in selection pixel, a selection isolates one more parts of your image. What is a marquee tools? A marquee tool is a basic tool for making selection in the Photoshop. And there are three parts of the marquee tools. We have rectangular marquee tool, elliptical marquee tool, and column marquee tool. In column marquee tool, it is used to define the border as 1 pixel wide row or column. And this is the example of the column marquee tool by intersect with the subtract from new. So there are types of selection tools, and these are the area selection tools, the line selection tools, the angle tool, point tool, wand, text tool, magnifying glass, scrolling tool, color picker, action tool, macro, menu tool, macros, and macro tool set switchers. Let's find out the marquee rectangular and this area of the marquee tools to how to use this selection tool. One is open an image from the school picture collection to shoot and select the marquee tool. And third, specify one of the selection option in the option bar. Like new, to replace any existing selection with a new one. Add to existing selection. Subtraction form, to remove from existing selection. And intersect with keep existing selection only where a new selection intersects with it. 4 is specify the feathering setting in the option bar. 5, for the rectangular marquee tool or elliptical marquee tool, by the choice of the style in the option bar. And this is the figure. Normal and a fixed ratio and a fixed size. In a normal, determines a marquee proportions by dragging, and a fixed ratio sets of height to width ratio. Enter values by the decimal values are valid. For the aspect ratio, for example, to draw a marquee twice as wide as it. Next is to high, enter to 2 for the width and 1 for the height. And the fixed size is specified set values for the marque's height and width. Enter the pixel values in whole number. 6. Do one of the following to make the selection. With the triangular marquee tool or elliptical marquee tool, drag over the area you want to select. Hold down Shift key as you are dragged to constrain the marquee tool to a square of the circle, and to release the mouse button before you release. To keep the selection, shape, constrain, and to drag a marquee from in the center, hold down Alt key after you begin dragging. And another point is, with a single row of the single column marquee tool, click near the area you want to select and then drag the marquee tool to exact location. If no marquee is visible, is increase of magnification of your image view. And how to quick tips that one. To reportion a rectangular or elliptical marquee, do the following. First is press the mouse button and drag into the create selection border. Second, hold down the space bar and continue to drag. Next, if you need to continue adjusting the selection, release the space bar but keep the mouse button depressed. So let us try to speed up. Let's talk about the lasso tools. There are 3 types of lasso tools in Photoshop. One is lasso, second polygonal lasso, and the third one is magnetic lasso. Here are the different types of lasso tools in the Photoshop, and to using the lasso tool in the Photoshop. This is the figure of the lasso tool. If you click that one, the lasso tool is useful for drawing free-form segments of a selection border, and also included another intersect with the subtract from add new. How to use a polygonal lasso tool. First one is open the image from the school picture collection, use shots or use shoots. Second, select the lasso tool and set feathering and anti-aliasing in the option bar. And to add to a subtract from or intersect with the existing selection, click the corresponding button in the options bar. Fourth, do either of the following. One is to drag the through freehand selection border. Next, switch between freehand and straight edge segments. Trace out and click where a segment should begin and to end. Number 5, continue, trace out and click where a segment should begin and end. 5, to close selection border and to release mouse without holding down Alt. Let us quick tips for these things of a lasso tool. To erase recently drawn straight segments, hold down the delete key and click refine edge to further adjust to selection by the boundary. Trace Alt key to switch between segments. Let's talk about the polygonal tools. What is polygonal tools? In the polygonal lasso tools is useful for drawing straight edge segments of selection border. Let us try to the polygonal tools. In the polygonal tools, this is the example. If you paste one of the picture or image like this, a figure of a Batman. This is what you call the facing and doing their own using the lasso tool. Simple like that. And how to use this, the polygonal lasso tool. 1. Open an image from school picture collection you shoot and select the polygonal lasso tool and select options. 3rd, specify one of the selection options and the options. 4th, set feathering, anti-aliasing in the option bar so to soften the edges of selections. 5. Click in the image to set the starting point. I give you the example this picture. Alright, this is the example of the polygonal lasso tool. Unlike the same areas in the lasso. The 6th one is do one or more of the following. How to draw the straight segment position and to the pointer where you want the first straight segment to end, and click continue to clicking to set endpoints for subsequent segments. And to draw the straight line in multiple of 45 degrees, hold down and shift as you move to click the next segment. And to draw the freehand segment, hold down, out, and drag it. And when you are finished, release it and the out and the mouse button. And to erase recently drawn straight segments, or press the delete key. 7 is close the selection border. Yes, it is a position of polygonal lasso tool pointer over the starting point. A closed circle appears next to the pointer, or to click it. Number 8. If the pointer is not over starting point, double click the polygonal lasso tool pointer or control click. 9. Click refine edge to further adjust the selection boundary. How to use this magnetic lasso tool. In magnetic lasso tool, this magnetic lasso tool is not available for 32-bit channel images. Why? Because when you use the magnetic lasso tool, the border snaps to the edge of the fine area is the image. So the magnetic lasso tool is not the 32 bits per channel image, but the magnetic lasso tool is especially useful quickly selecting objects with the complex edge set against high contrast and backgrounds. Let's try this. Number 1 is open an image from the school pictures collection you shoots. Next is select the magnetic lasso tool. 3rd, specify one of the selection options and the option bar. 4th one is set feathering and anti-aliasing the option bar to see the soften the edges of the selection. And this is the example of the picture of the tool. We have the feathering, anti-aliased, the width and the edge contrast. 5. Set any of these options. Width to specify detection. Width enter a pixel value of the width. Contrast to specify the lasso's sensitivity to edges. And the image enter the value between 1% and 100% for contrast. Why? Because it's a higher value detects only edge that to contrast sharply when their surroundings a lower value detects lower contrast edges. Did you follow, students? Okay, thank you. Another one is the frequency. To specify the rate at which the lasso sets fastening points, enter the value between 0 to 100 for frequency. This higher value anchors the selection border in the place more quickly. The sixth one is the click in the image to set the first fastening point. Fastening points is anchored selection border to place. 7. Release the mouse button or keep it depressed and then more pointer along the edge you want to trace. Now, what is some quick tips this frequency? The most recent segments of the selection border remains active. As you move to pointer, the active segment snap to the strongest edge in the image based on the detections width set in the option bar. Periodically, the magnetic lasso tool adds fastening points to the selection border to anchor previous segments. 8. If the border does not snap to desired edge, click once to add to fastening point manually. Continue to trace the edge and add fastening points as needed. So before for that, we switch temporarily to other lasso tools to do one of the following. One is to active the lasso tool, hold down, out, and drag with the mouse button depressed. To activate the polygonal lasso tool, hold down, out, and click. To pressure, close the selection border. To close the border with the magnetic segment, double click or press enter. To close the border with the straight segment, hold down, alt, and double click. Or to manually close the border, drag over the starting point in the click. 12. Click Refine Edge to further adjust the selection boundary. Design the pan situation of the lasso tool. Another edge of the quick selection, this one is to activate the polygonal lasso tool, hold down, alt, and click. Next, to erase recently drawn segment and fastening points, press the delete key until you erase that fastening. And this is the example of the selection using the Refine Edge. So this is the selection in the Photoshop using the magnetic lasso tool. So how amazed in using these things according to the Photoshop. Alright, so this is the example of magnetic lasso tool. Have you followed, students? Okay, let's try to continue. Next is the quick selection tool. What is the quick selection tool? The quick selection tool is a selection tool that has smart processing capabilities. You can use this quick selection tool to make a selection based on tone and color by clicking or dragging to add to selection. Example, this picture. If you click this quick selection, beside of the tool in Photoshop. Now let's try this one, the quick selection. One is to open image from the School Pictures collection shots. Next, select the quick selection lasso tool. Third In the option bar, click one of the selection option. Or need add to or subtract from. And this is the example of number 4. To change the brush up size, click the brush pop-up menu in the options bar and type pixel size or drag the slider. And from the new in default option, if nothing is selected. But after making the initial selection, the option changes automatically to add to. Fifth is use the side pop-up menu option to make the brush up tips size sensitive to pen pressure or stylus wheel. Six is choose quick selection option. We have two. One is the sample all layers to create the selection based on the layers. Second is auto enhance. To reduce the roughness, it is also removes blacks and selection boundary. So it is auto enhance automatically flows the selection towards image edges and applies some of the edge refinement, and you can apply manually in the fine edge dialog. And with the contrast, the radius options. Number 7 is paint inside the part of the image you want to select. Why? Because this selection grows us to paint. If updating is slow, continue to drag to allow time to complete work on the selection. As you paint near the edges of the shape, the selection area extends to follow the contours of the shape page. The subtract from the selection, click the subtract from the option in the options bar. Then drag over the existing selection. To temporarily switch between add and subtract modes, hold down the Alt key. And number 8, click Refine Edge to further adjust the selection boundary. Let's move on for another thing in the Photoshop. With these tools, using like what you call the magic wand. So this magic wand, this tools allows you to select an area or an image based on its color. So this tool is located near to the top of the Photoshop toolbox, and this is the figure. When you click in this area in the image in the magic wand, all areas which have similar color are selected. Let us try to quick tips this magic wand tool. You can specify various options to determine the exact selection. You cannot use the magic wand tool on the image in bitmap mode or on 32 bits per channel image. Let's try this. One is open image from the school picture collection to shot. 2. Select the magic wand tool. Third, specify one of selection options in the option bar. Because this magic wand tool's pointer changes depending on which option is selected. Like sample this. Okay. It's very clearly. Alright. So number 4, in the option bar, specify any of the following, like the tolerance, anti-alias or contiguous, or sample all layers. In tolerance, it determines the color range of the selected pixels to enter a value or pixels ranging from 0 to 55. or a low value selects the few colors very similar to the pixel you click. A higher value selects the broader range of the color. In the anti-alias, creates the smoother edge in selection. In the contiguous, selects all the adjacent areas using the same colors. Otherwise, all pixels in the entire image using the same colors are selected. And the sample all layers selects colors using data from all visible layers. 5. In the image, click the color you want to select. If contiguous selected, all adjacent pixels within the tolerance range are selected. All pixels and the tolerance range are selected. 6. Click Refine Edge to further adjust the selection boundary or the view selection against different backgrounds or a mask. Another thing is the Refine Edge option. It improves the quality of selection edge, letting you extract objects with ease. This tool makes it easier to select certain objects and make them look more realistic with imposed on the new background. Let us try this in Refine Edge option. One is open the image from the school picture collections, your shot. Second, create a selection with any selection tool. Third, click Refine Edge in the options bar or choose Select Refine Edge. This is the example. We have the Refine Edge, the View Mode, Show Reduce, Show Original, Edge Detection from the Smart Reduce, Reduce to 0 to 100, Adjust Edge from Smooth, Feather, Contrast, Shape Edge. And from the output, you have to check it in the decontaminate colors in ion edge if you would like the edge detections. And then okay. Now in Select Refine Edge, we have the View Mode. In the View Mode, from the pop-up menu, choose a mode to change how the selection is displayed. For the information about each mode, or move the pointer over it until the tooltip appears. 2. Show Original displays the original selection for the comparison. Third, Show Reduce displays the selection border where edge refinement occurs. Fourth, Refine, Reduce, and Erase refinements tools. So these tools allows you to adjust the border area in which edge refinement occurs. Fifth, Smart Reduce automatically adjusts to reduce for hard and soft edges found in the border region. Deselect this option if the border is uniformly hard or soft edge, or if you want to control the reduce setting and refinement brushes more precisely. 6. Reduce. It determines the size of the selection border in which edge refinement occurs. Use the small reduce for the sharp edge and the large one for the softer edges. 7. Smooth. Reduce the irregular areas, fills, and valleys in the selection border to create smoother outline. 8. Feather. Blurs precision between the selection and surrounding pixels. 9. Contrast. When increased soft edge transitions along the selection border to become more abrupt, typically the Smart Bridges option and refinement tools are more effective. 10. Shape edge. Move soft edge border inward with negative values of outward with the positive ones. Shifting these borders inward can help remove unweighted background in this color from the selection edge. 11. Decontaminate colors. It replaces color bridge with the color of fully selected pixels nearby. The straight of the color replacement or proportionate to the softness of selection edge. 12. Amount. This changes of the level of decontamination and page replacement. And number 13, output 2. 2 determines whether refined selection becomes a selection or mask, or the current layers or produce a new layer of document. So how students to these quick tips? In the quick tips, this select refine edge, you have to quickly toggle from one tool to the other with Shift or plus E, and to change the brush size, press the bracket keys. Let's try to refresh. So this selection of the Photoshop isolates one or more parts of your image, and selecting specific areas can help you to edit, apply effects, the filter to versions or image while leaving and unselected areas untouched. And lastly, refine edge makes easier to select certain objects and make look more realistic with impulse over new background. So thank you, kids. That's all for today. For more updates, please monitor our eClass online learning platform. Thank you and goodbye. Again, my name is Reynaldo V. Malimban, your computer aide.